that.
Do you want to?
Oh, yeah, we need to do names. I was going to do that. Sharon, Chair.
Robbie Boyd.
Yes.
Joe Power.
Rachel Yondel, member.
Jean Hess, liaison from City Commission.
Gail Walter, member.
Thomas Dewhurst, member.
David Benak, Vice Chair.
Okay, great. And then, yeah, so minutes, did anyone have any corrections to the minutes? Or the minutes from September?
Something very minor, and that Peregrine was spelled wrong.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I think we know what it is, so
Yeah.
I don't think it warrants a lot of effort to change it.
Okay. Sounds good. I didn't see anything. There was, I didn't see anything really either. So if I could get a motion to approve September's minutes.
I'll move.
Gail, for a second. Rachel, for a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, any opposed? No. All right, great. Moving on. Any announcements? I certainly have some, but anyone else have some announcements? Okay. Well, there are 3 plantings at least happening this weekend. Sort neighborhood one via the city with Relief Michigan, RSVP at reliefmichigan.org/Stewart RSVP. Grow Edison is doing a native plant planting in Edison neighborhoods, meeting at Edison Neighborhood Association at 11 a.m. on Saturday morning. And Reforest Bind is doing some native tree plantings on Sunday morning. And there's also Pints and Plants, which is talking about plants at Brewery O'Trey at 7 o'clock tomorrow, led by Kalamazoo Area Wild Ones. And Asylum Lake Preserve Association, it has a gathering at Winchell in Disciples of Christ Church from 1 to 4:30 on Saturday. And then October 28th, there's EPS Recycling, and they are looking for more volunteers, and you can get in contact with Chris Broadbent with the city if you are interested in volunteering on October 28th from 10 to 1. His email is broadbentc@kalamazoocity.org. So that's my announcement.
They also have electronics that day and paper shredding.
Okay, I didn't hear about the paper shredding. Yeah,
It's on the website as paper shredding.
What's the date again for the paper shredding?
October 28th.
Okay.
It's all there
Saturday.
in the parking lot for Mears Riverfront. You can just take all your files and
they'll
Sounds good. I have a feeling my recycle app will remind me.
yes.
Yeah.
Wait, say that again?
The,
Recycle Coach?
Yeah.
Is it on there now?
no, I said I'm hoping it will remind me.
Yeah. Put it on
That's
your
a
calendar.
great point. I'm gonna ask if the city can get that. We talked about that a long time ago, but, I will see if they can get via EPS and electronic and paper shredding, recycling all on that push notification. That would be super helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. And did anyone else have any other ones? Other announcements? Okay. How about news or educational items?
I did have an announcement.
Okay.
My schedule leaves me all over the place so that I probably am gonna miss the next 6 meetings in a row.
Uh-oh.
And it's my last year anyway, so, of the 3. So I think it'd probably be fair to everybody if I just tell you this will be my last meeting and then find somebody to fill my place.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you for letting us know.
Sorry, we'll miss you.
Well,
Yeah.
me too,
We
miss
don't-
you all. But life, I've got all sorts of
Yeah, no
commitments
kidding.
I have to go to and they just don't work out, so.
Okay. Thank you for
Thank
letting us know.
Sure, thanks. It's been a pleasure, by the way.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, it's been nice having you here. We'll miss you too. Of course, I'm done at the end of the year too, so.
Okay, so, any comments from, anyone on the phone? And we'll have another comment period at the end of the meeting for anyone listening if you aren't able to call in right now. But if you are able to call in right now, we're checking that for the next 30 seconds or so. And then anything here, otherwise we're gonna get to,
No, it's going to be under what?
great question. I think, yeah, you can talk now if you want, real quick. He has to leave at 5, so.
Whenever you want it on, I'm here. Okay, I guess you mentioned it, or did you send it, you sent a copy?
I did mention it, and I also forwarded a request from the Highland Lake Preserve Association to the council.
Yep, saw that, yep.
So we are asking that the ECC, make an advisory recommendation to the planning and the city commission about the rezoning of the properties at 4301 and 4701 Stadium Drive, as well as the request for special use permit on that site. This is going to be, happening at the planning commission meeting in December. So we thought that you could discuss this, talk about it, and maybe make a statement at the next meeting, an advisory statement to the commission, to the two commissions, about this request, which is coming for whole property to be zoned completely commercial, because there's only one commercial category now, and our understanding that there's going to be a request for a special permit for a car wash as well. And there's a lot of concern about this in the public, and feels like this is the appropriate body to look at this situation and make a recommendation about that to these. There'll be others coming in, of course, as well.
So is it right that I was aware that the now one parcel was requested for a zoning change? Did they also already put in the request for the special use permit? And I'm assuming that's related to a car wash.
And I don't know if it's actually been submitted.
Okay.
But that would be something that you could investigate and respond to appropriately by that time.
It is, last I heard, unless something's changed really recently, the planning commission has it on the agenda for that one parcel to be, the request for it to be rezoned is on the agenda for December 7th.
At 7 p.m.
Yep,
right here.
planning commission, yeah.
Right, so whatever phases this is coming from, means that since you are the body that makes recommendations of things that concern the environment, it would be appropriate for you to study it a little and weigh in on it, whether that means you get a subcommittee to talk about it, or you do it as a whole, or whatever.
Okay,
We
yeah.
can turn it over to you.
And we do have that officially coming up to discuss in a moment as well, after our guests. But we didn't have any phone calls, correct? Correct. Okay, so moving on to our guests. Bobby.
Well, first of all, I just want a little background. You go, remember that we had talked about the idea of maybe embracing lawn care that didn't have to be so noisy and using fossil fuels, lighter impact. On my research, I met Bobby Boyd, who has his own all-electric lawn care, and I had the opportunity to visit Bobby twice, and we did a little interview and took a little bit of video, and I have a short 4-minute video I wanted to show, and then a chance for some questions and answers with Bobby. You'll get a better feel once you take a look at the video. So,
Okay.
Jean, hopefully this will work.
And we have 14 minutes till 5, so,
I think we're good.
okay.
That'll be great.
Okay. While she's pulling that up, I also sent, a link for, an article that came out recently from Second Wave Media that showed a bunch of different local organizations that are doing things with native planting, which was the other thing we discussed, for alternative lawn care. And I just thought that was like a really cool resource, because it just showed like the nurseries, the people that are designing and planting, community groups, like just a whole bunch of different groups on it. So I thought that was cool if y'all weren't aware of all those different groups that are happening and things going on. Yes, I just did, so hopefully that works.
And do we have sound, is the question. Is it muted or not? See a sound icon.
Hold on.
Okay.
That's right.
It's much better with sound, believe me.
I'm trying to-
I'm not sure if you'll get feedback if it plays sound into the microphone, into the recording.
Oh, come on, not that. Yeah, there was like.
It's still set
zero
up.
on the bottom.
It was there.
It's not on, I can't get to it on mine, so. Make it happen. Let's just try one more time. Okay. Need Zoom behind it. There we go.
We skipped over the procedural item that there is already a vacancy, but we can go back to that after this.
So while she's trying to
No,
load that
there's
up,
two.
Bobby, why did you do this? Why did you start this?
It really came into, a theory when I heard about the air quality issue that's going on in the north side neighborhood area. And since I'm equity manager for sustainability and clean that nature project, so I thought as a solution for some of our businesses that are guilty of polluting airs in a lot of these disadvantaged communities, why not, instead of coming down and tell them they're bad and they need to fix these issues, at least present a solution as well and give them ideas on ways they can maybe fix the solution instead of just a problem that they need to fix aspect. So as a born and raised on the north side of Kalamazoo, it's a little more personal for me in that aspect. That's why I started up to try to area.
Oh, I think we got it. Oh, perfect, great
All right,
timing.
cool.
You came up.
Hopefully it gets down.
Not
Unless
working.
it's just that quiet.
No, no, let's go back to the beginning,
Hold
please.
on.
And
At
Bob,
least it's gotta be turned on.
Oh, yay!
can we go back to the beginning, please?
It seems like it could be better.
I don't, that's not very good sound. We need better than that. That's out of your computer. Sorry, I put a lot of time into this, and it's not gonna be any good if you can't hear it and see it.
Definitely email this if you could as well, would be awesome.
Not sure why it's jerky, because it wasn't made that way.
It's clear.
Could be an internet.
Right.
We need more volume.
Maybe turn it that way.
Sorry about this, folks. It's really, we can't really hear it.
Okay.
the domino effect. Yeah, so this machine right here, battery life is about 8 to 10 hours. The battery on single charge. So, it's quite a bit. It's also one of the most powerful machines you have. 5 horsepower easily. So, moves about 60 to 160 miles per hour. And it's very powerful. The torque is into this, like, what a record.
Well, Bobby, unfortunately, I didn't get to hear you tell a lot of your story, so, I think it would be interesting for folks to actually hear about your decisions making and buying the mower and some of its capabilities, because certainly, I mean, going 8 to 10 hours on a charge is amazing,
Oh, yeah.
which means you can work all day.
And, it's right now, there's only 2 manufacturers right now that produce commercial grade, all electric lawn care solutions right now. There's some other ones in like your Lowe's or Home Depot as well, but those only go about an hour. Commercial property, you definitely want to have more of a longer charge. This, so that will go, it's pricey, but it's what, 8 to 10 hours, on a single charge, so you'll be able to do commercial jobs and work all day without having to recharge.
Did you get this one new or used?
Brand new, I bought it brand new, so,
Was it locally you could buy it?
no, I had to order it online, it's commercial, that aspect, I had to go to Ohio, pick it up, and then bring it back, but, but I believe in the work, I believe in what the capabilities are and what changes that it can have, what effects it can have for communities that are dealing with some of these, air quality issues, so I believe in it, so I decided to, it may be inconvenient, but being able to do the work, it's really important.
Does it mulch leaves pretty well too in the grass?
This is my first, so this is the first year with that first real season with it. This year, this machine just came out in January, so it's still somewhat newer now, but, yeah, the mulch is really great, really, really good, so. The only thing I'm waiting for is for the bagger to come out, so I have that mulch right now, which isn't available yet through Greenworks, but they do have it coming down the pipeline, so.
You were saying it was the equivalent of what size diesel,
It's equivalent to a 65 horsepower diesel engine, so.
which is really powerful,
One of the most powerful ones on the
and
market.
top speed?
16 miles per hour top speed.
60, not 16.
No, it's 16, it was 16, not 60.
Okay,
16 feels like 60.
That's
Okay.
still, that's still
Yeah, 16 feels like 60, so I never go 16. I
No.
tried it once, it was scary. So
Yeah.
but I love to know that it can do that, so. But yeah, like I said, I served as commercial. We started our organization as commercial because I think realistically, really created a true impact, an immediate impact is working with the biggest polluters. Homeowners, residents are the biggest polluters in our areas, usually big manufacturers and things like that. Those are the ones I should tackle first.
How responsive have they been?
Not responsive at all. But well, MDOT, so I do have contracts with MDOT right now, so, we do all the carpools around here. So we do have that one right now. Local commercial properties, they haven't been responsive yet. Realistically, in mind, I thought graphic packaging first and foremost. That was my first thing I tried. And I understand they're having a whole bunch of issues right now, so they're not really responsive to emails, and they don't really want to hear individuals tell them how bad they are. But I'm trying to tell you, okay, you're bad, but here's a solution, a way I can maybe help you start mitigating some of those issues as well. So eventually we'll be able to get in there and have that conversation too, but I want to do like on a large scale on that aspect. Collaborate with the city to figure out ways that we can maybe do it on a large scale too.
Have you worked out with Eric Cunningham over there?
I know who Eric is, but.
If you know who Eric is, he's a liaison to the community, so he might be somebody you might want to talk to about GPI.
Okay.
You mentioned that you, like electric cars, there's a back order, and that you had ordered a stand-up mower, but you're on a waiting list,
I'm on
right?
a waiting list, yeah, hopefully I should get it by next month, they say, but, yeah, I want to have to be more effective in it.
That's a charity kind of thing.
Yep, so stand up, I have to like that, sit down and push it, and gambit of all of them, and, like I said, I'm trying to prove the concept right now. Only one, but I want to be able to prove that it's
What about your truck?
Oh, it is not electric yet.
I love that, yeah.
Yeah. I've been trying to, but they're expensive. That mower was expensive,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I mean, all the time, right, yeah.
I've been looking really hard, and I'm like, oh, they're not going down in price, so that's the plan I wanna do, is to have one that'd be able to pull everything, electric, but, yeah, I've not made a goal yet, so.
Has there been any, response from the different municipalities? I mean, I think it would be like a super statement for, like, the city, the cities or the, townships to engage your services.
I think there will be eventually. I know a lot of these contracts and care are all on like a renewal basis, I think 3 years.
Mhm.
Maybe it's not yet. Like I said, we just started up this year, for January season, so maybe it's up.
One of the townships, the Kalamazoo Township is redoing theirs for next year, their mowing contract.
I have been talking to the road commission as well. We're gonna try to work with them, but anything that I can to try to make sure I want to do. I don't want it just for, to make as a money maker, but I'm really trying to start this thing up and be able to offer jobs to individuals in my community as well,
Yeah.
once I get those
Absolutely.
contracts. So therefore now
Oh,
they're,
you should be able to make a living.
fixing the issues in their community for their community, and that's
Mm-hmm.
awesome, so.
One of the things I thought was interesting in talking with Bobby is that there's a lot of good old boy network in the purchasing departments, and they're like, oh, no, gasoline's the only way to go. Electric mowers are not proven, they're, and it's kind of like when the first Prius came out, people were very skeptical of that, or the Nissan Leaf, some of the early, thank goodness people bought them and there's a real market for it, but that's a barrier in itself. It's just education, like, hey, these are perfectly fine, they'll do the job all day long.
Right now, with MDOT, like, so we're a pilot program. Yeah, so the large contract we're supposed to get with MDOT, but like, well, we don't know about electric yet, so we'll give you a fuel counts so you can prove concept hopefully this year, and then next cycle in 3 years from now, maybe we'll give you the rest of it, but, so now I'm a pilot program with MDOT, which I'm glad they took a chance on me. At least they're saying they're trying to be, forward-facing, so.
And from talking with Bobby, it sounded like they were pretty impressed with,
Oh, yeah, they
with-
love this.
like they thought it was, I think they were surprised, weren't they?
Oh, yes.
Bobby, do you have any cards with you? I definitely want to share your information with our Department of Public Works
Oh, yeah.
and demand that we do this.
Mhm.
They know I'm asking for electrics everywhere.
Plus, I think the city awards many contracts for
Yeah.
mowing in different parts,
Sure.
and so it'd be nice to at least get a piece of the pie.
Anybody else?
I would really love to see that the city would
I don't
commit
really
to a
want to
little.
take anyone's job, of that nature. I just, to be able to offer a solution that can be helpful, like a mutually beneficial relationship.
Or could you go to those folks that are doing that work
There's another
and
one.
help them electrify? Could you become the consultant while your company continues to work, but then you consult and help all of the ones that are using gas mowers to go electric,
Oh, that'd be ideal.
right?
Or become a Greenworks dealer.
Yeah.
What do you think of the blowers?
Blowers are pretty good. Like I said, all of it is expensive. That's the biggest
Yeah.
burden. Area is expensive. All this electric stuff is expensive. If you want to get the best, you gotta pay. So, but they work well. They real well. And like I said, I really love that in my hearing. It doesn't really hurt my hearing. I
Yeah.
don't feel so fatigued
Or the fumes?
Well,
and fumes or anything of that nature. I really love that aspect of it. And like I said, I have as many contracts as other individuals, so I can just get it going.
Are the blowers lighter to handle than the gasoline blowers?
Yes, they are, because it doesn't have an engine. All it has is the battery, which I guess it depends on size battery. You can get bigger batteries that are a little heavier, but still.
But you can switch them out if you want to,
Oh, yeah.
don't want to take time to charge, you can switch them out, okay. Is there any advantage and disadvantage to the lawn that people might argue about, when you, with electric?
I can't see any
Oh.
engine.
Okay,
I've
so
been
the
using
mowing
mowing
is the same, as far as the health of the grass and all that
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, that's all I'm saying. I mean, the only issue I have is just people saying the dependability of electric. Is it capable of doing what gas has been doing for centuries? Like it is, so I don't really, other than that, I haven't seen any disadvantage by gas. I mean, you have to get used to it because it does, when you have that electric vehicle there, it does go now. It doesn't like, rev up, it's gonna go immediately.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, you get used to that. That's
Does it handle hillsides just equally or better than?
Actually better with hillside. Distribution with the battery on it, things of that nature, which advances the new lawnmowers in that aspect, but with batteries, it does slow better.
Are the blade types the same as a gas mower?
Exactly.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming. Any
I've
other
got one other
questions?
question. How big a geographic range of customers do you have?
So I do all Kalamazoo County right now, so.
Okay, so there's,
I mean, that's where one of our carpools we have is in 131, so Marcel's carpool out there. We have Van Buren. Actually, we have Van Buren County as well with the carpool on M40 and Pawpaw. I've got carpool. The Avenue, we have a carpool as well. We're quite aware. That's not my there.
well, there's no
I'm
limit.
making money right now, but I'm trying to prove something for the company behind.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and we hope to be able to, help Adele to get some more visibility for you. You know, we're heading into leaf season, but hopefully by the time we get around to spring, we can get some media attention to, as people are like winding up to start fertilizing and mowing and all that kind of stuff, that we would maybe be able to get someone come out and cover you live or something like that, like Channel 3 or Channel 8, It's good for the environment.
I love that, and help would be helpful. Talking about electric compared to.
Yeah.
Who are you working with at NDOT?
Mike Streeter.
Thank you very much for coming in, Bobby. It's our pleasure,
Oh, yeah.
and we wish you all the best.
Yeah, thank you all so much. I'm sorry that I can't stay the whole time.
That's
but,
okay.
we have a sustainability conference going on in Grand Rapids. They're presenting more about all electric and clean energy, so. All your time, everything you do for the community, and, further conversations, I hope.
All right, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah, thank you.
Very nice to meet you all.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thank you so much. You all have a good one.
You too.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, that was wonderful.
Yeah, it was great. Thanks for doing that.
You're welcome.
And could you email, are you able to?
It's small enough that I can,
Okay.
you want me to email it to you?
That'd be great.
Okay.
And then, we're just the environmental, ideally, we'll figure out getting that to everyone, but, I can pass it along.
Does the city, does the city have its own landscaping crew, or does
We
it,
hire it,
it's all hired out? Okay.
So
Does Portage do the same way?
they're gonna hear about it.
I wonder if
We
the
vote on the
contract
contract
holds
annually.
so many different
Yeah.
business opportunity and all
Entities, that we need so many more Bobbies.
We do.
How big is his,
Yeah.
is
A lot
his
more native.
operation? Is it?
Pardon me?
How many people does he have?
Just him and his brother.
Okay, two
But
people.
for everyone
Okay.
that's not
That's
you.
enough.
So
Yeah.
Bobby and Bobby are both brothers.
They're twins, and I think they have the same name. I don't know if that's always been that way, but it's Bobby and Bobby.
We're gonna do that.
Bobby there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely running
Thank
this
you.
by
That would be great.
public services and see about our contracts for parks and,
Yeah.
public spaces.
I'll ask, I know people in Portage too, so I'll ask Sarah.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that.
Okay, yeah, that was cool. Addition to our yard management discussion. I'll scooch back because I forgot about just wanted to mention again, we're gonna be having 2 vacancies on the ECC. And I assume we haven't gotten any applications yet? Okay. So I know someone was reaching out to someone, and so we haven't gotten it yet, so maybe reach out again to that person or 2 that we're thinking about applying.
I was just wanted to ask if the city's website has a link to all the vacancies.
I haven't looked in a while, but I imagine so.
Okay.
That's,
So
They have a
someone
link
was
to
just
all the
curious.
cities.
yeah.
I think you have to go to each committee and it'll
Yeah.
say there's a
And
vacancy.
then
But
go
there's not
deeper.
one clearinghouse where
Okay.
they all.
Yeah,
I was
Oh,
hoping
that
that
would be
someone would
nice.
be like, oh, I'd like to volunteer, I wonder what's available.
yeah. Yeah, it's
Just
all
curious.
click through the different ones, but there are several. Okay, so the next thing is the zoning update, which we heard just a little bit. But basically, yeah, I'm trying to remember where it was at last month, but, the zoning code in general is going through the update process, but also I think this came out of the, parcel next to Asylum Lake largely. So that parcel has officially been requested by DNS, the landowner, to be rezoned to community commercial, which is the same exact zoning that the planning commission, said no to, a few years ago. And, the process is going through the planning commission, and then whether the planning commission, recommends it or not, he could still take that to the city commission, and that's where they would do the final vote. So,
Do you have any sense of planning commission's going to do?
I do not. I think that it's a bad idea personally to rezone that area as commercial. It is just upslope from Asylum Lake Preserve. There's a very large, expensive stormwater project, that's going into that area, in general for the just regular stormwater runoff, for remediation, and it would be very disappointing to see, especially a large development right on that corner, upslope from it.
Sharon, I have heard of car washes that they claim, I've seen them on signs on it, that they recycle all the water and they don't have any appreciable runoff. Is that
They are
practical?
required to, however, once a car wash is a car wash, it's pretty much always going to be that. So whether it's in business or not, that's really hard to transform a land from a gas station or a car wash after it's been there because of the amount of contaminants that are on that property. And, just because something's required doesn't mean that it's always going to be going that way, as we have seen time and time again with all sorts of different types of environmental disasters.
Yeah. Now, I might point out to people that there's about 4 new car washes around the city in Portage and on Stadium that are, and one is totally revamped and kind of doubled in its capacity. And then there's one right down there just north of Southland Mall, and they're just popping up all over. I don't think we need any more.
Well, the one
That makes any difference to the, I mean, that might be an argument to the planning commission, like what.
That was an argument presented before by a bunch of the, they did a circular scan of the area, and they had
Yeah, for sure,
people
yeah.
like Bob and Kay's Car Wash just on the other side of 131, and they came in and testified and kind of just gave the lay of the land.
Yeah, and right down just a little bit east
Right.
of that spot, there's another one that's just totally revamped and doubled
Yeah.
size, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, how many car washes do we need?
Well, the one that is on the corner of Kilgore and Westnedge is the same guy that
Yep.
wanted to go in there.
Right, and he's already got one
I
on.
forget what and he had one
And
on.
he's got
But
Gull
it's
Road. He's got
West
3.
Township,
Yes,
and the
oh, yeah.
one on Gull Road is Comstock,
Right.
and the one on,
Sure.
Kilgore is in Portage. This would be the first one to,
In the city
Oh,
limits,
absolutely.
if yeah,
But
but
it's
it's
the same-
exactly on the border
It's an
for one
artificial-
of our borders and very close to the other borders. So yes, he's dealing with city government only for this one.
Right.
But proximity-wise, the city's got weird lines and they're all very close.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the city council was gonna, grant the exemption at the time. Do you remember that?
The, permit,
Yes.
so in the zoning code update, the planning department
a few years ago.
themselves. Oh,
Originally, yes, the first time around.
And it was
The city
turnout.
recommended, the city specifically, yes, was recommending,
Yep.
the planning department for the city was recommending the approval of the rezoning, but didn't recommend the, approval of the removal of the NFP, which was the other request that he made. There were 3 different points, 2 were rezoning, because there was 3 different parcels at the time, and the different addresses were split up into those 2 points and then NFP. So yes, but it was almost unanimous, if, I believe it was 1 person voted in favor of the rezoning, and everyone else on the planning commission at the time, voted against the rezoning.
It was my read that they changed their mind because of the turnout.
There was an extreme amount of turnout. They've had probably passed, well past,
Yeah, they were in
fire
here
code.
too.
I can't imagine not. Packed house in there. This was the overflow room, and this was packed as well. There's been some discussion in the community about asking the planning commission to have a larger venue. I have seen that in other communities where if they know there's going to be a really large turnout, you change the venue so that it can hold those people at that capacity.
It was proposed at the last meeting for it to be a larger venue.
Yeah, so at the last planning commission, So, yeah, I mean, a lot of people came out, and there are public comment periods for the public to be able to speak their mind, and I think this is one of the hotter topics that has come up in the last several years with the amount of people that have shown up for those types of meetings. So, yeah. Any other additions that anyone wants to add? There's a lot going on with this.
I think one of the reasons that ALPA is asking this body to think about it and come out with a statement is you do have the resources to really think about the overall impact of what
Have you seen that?
such a thing
Okay.
would be. And it's becoming very clear that the car wash is an icon, a symbol of how the community really feels and acts about the environment and about this particular place, which is a remarkable, complicated, large piece of land that is a jewel in the crown of this city and this area. And this is where car wash reverberates, not just car wash, not just whether the water is going to go down or purified or whatever. It's one of the highest points, it's maybe the highest point in that block of land. It will be lights on day and night. It will be traffic coming in and out. It's uncertain what's going to happen to the rest of the land. It will be visible from everywhere in the preserve. So what is happening is the issue is, what does this city think of this preserve? Because it's going to impact the preserve immensely.
Yeah.
In so many different ways.
And ecology doesn't think of borders the same way, so just because it's technically a different property, the preserve is right there, and it's a continuous green space, which is super meaningful for the ecosystem. Yeah, this was the recommendation for anyone that didn't.
One thing that, that I think would be important for us to at least include if we make, some kind of a recommendation, is you brought up the idea of the lighting, and those car washes are lit all night long, so there's light pollution, which is a big issue. What I didn't, maybe I could have mentioned when we had the request for news and information items, I don't know how many of you have heard or were aware of the event that happened in Chicago the night of October 4th to 5th, when birds were moving. This was fall migration.
Oh, yeah.
Birds had been held back because of the weather. The weather changed. Tens of thousands, not hundreds of thousands of warblers started moving that night across the lake. And one night, one building, the McCormick Place in Chicago, over 1,000 birds died from colliding with that building alone because they will not comply with the lights out at night during migration ordinance for the city of Chicago. And it's a glass building, which is notorious for having killed many, many birds over the years. They don't have their glass mitigated. They keep it lit at night. And, you know, if we have a building that is lit at night next to a preserve, even though we're not on a flyway like Chicago along the lake shore, that is detrimental in a lot of ways because of the loss of...
We have lots of migrants to the preserve. Yeah.
Right, so they'll be attracted to the light. You know, in Chicago, they've been flying a long time, overnight. They're looking for land. They hit a storm, early morning. They see the light, they know that that's land. And that's what happened. Yeah, it was tragic. The pictures are just heart-wrenching.
From a political point of view, this should be a no-brainer. I don't know anybody in the whole Oakland Drive Winchell Neighborhood Association that think that's a good idea to put a car wash there. Nobody. It isn't like 60-40, it's like 100 to none. So politically speaking, if I were the city commissioner, I'd just vote no, and that's the end of it, And I don't know if maybe they can sue, but let them sue. He'll lose a lot of money suing the city, so let him lose a lot of money.
He will sue.
Well, let him.
He'll win, though.
Oh, really? Well.
So, do we want to create a subcommittee to discuss a potential statement that we can vote on next month, which would be before the planning commission in December?
Jessica.
Can I vote early?
Vote before you retire.
Yeah, right.
I think it would be unanimous.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yes, is anyone interested in being on that subcommittee?
It's already volunteered.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm not hearing anything. I would be willing to meet with someone.
I'll work with you on it.
Okay, cool. We have a subcommittee. Any other discussion that we want to talk about it? Obviously, we'll keep that on the agenda, for next month. Okay, cool, we are behind a little bit. Okay, and then we can move forward if that's, all for that one. New business and ongoing business, I didn't know how to put that. We've been talking about air quality issues, and right now there's the GPI public hearing comment period, which was extended to the end of the month. And David, would you like to speak more on that?
So I'm going to add into the chat on Facebook underneath the thing, the comments, the how to submit public comment, so people will have that, because it's not an easy link to see, or not an easy address. So for those of you who didn't see it, the public hearing was October 5th for GPI's permits, violations, and the consent order. I encourage you all to watch it. It was absolutely the most unprofessional display I've ever seen. They were unprepared. They couldn't explain the information that they were looking at. It was really awful.
So they being Graphic Packaging?
No, Eagle was
Okay.
terrible.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons why they actually extended the comment period, because they fumbled it so bad.
Really?
The comment period was supposed to end on the 16th.
Mm-hmm.
It's been extended to the 31st.
Disappointing.
Yeah, and one of the things that they fumbled so badly is there was a key chart which showed very clearly 6 different pollutants that GPI was planning to increase emissions. 2 weeks before the meeting, without any public notice, they changed that table in the official documents. And the new table showed GPI still planning to increase its emissions of 2 chemicals. In the public hearing, Eagle repeatedly said that they were not going to increase any emissions, even though even the second chart said, and they were asked multiple times about why they changed the chart and what the difference was, and they could not explain it. One of the comments they made was that they didn't like the way the data looked. So it was very disturbing. So there's a whole bunch of things that we could go into. I don't want to belabor that point, though. There is still the group in town, Kalamazoo Parents for Clean Air. It's continuing to post information, and is currently doing a breakdown of different issues from that hearing. There are some really big issues. One that I don't know that Eagle can address, but I think it needs to be taken seriously by everybody, is the environmental justice component of it. The EPA has a 13-point system that they look at 13 different indexes, they call them, which are different categories. Anything, according to the EPA, in any of those indexes that's above the 80th percentile is considered to be an environmental justice issue. Of those 13 indicators, GPI is over 80% on 11 of them. It is over 97 percentile on 6 of those. So it's really just about as bad as environmental justice issue gets. So I just encourage you to follow the Twitter and Facebook for Kalamazoo Parents for Clean Air, because they're publishing pretty frequent updates, and whenever there is newspaper coverage from different outlets, they've been reposting those articles as well. So it's the best place to find the information, and you can watch the hearing recording there as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other comments from anyone on that topic? Yeah, I have followed some of that. I need to finish watching that. It was pretty disappointing though, and yeah, my understanding was, yeah, it was extended because, for people to have more time, because they were changing things last minute as well, which was crazy. So, yeah. And then the next item was hydrogen hub.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring this up because this has gotten some news lately. If you haven't followed it, there's the Hydrogen Hub program that the federal government has just put $7 billion to. One of those, so it's basically, it's manufacturing hydrogen fuel. And one of the regions is I think they call it the Midwest, but Michigan is one of those states. In Michigan, there are 4 communities that are supposed to be included in the Hydrogen Hub: Detroit, Flint, Saginaw, Kalamazoo. What do those have in common? They're all EJ hotspots. They're all becoming industrial sacrifice zones. That's the reason it's going here. And I really want to make this very clear. If the City Commission has any say in this, and this comes here, there will be hell to pay. This is an environmental justice nightmare. Making hydrogen, for those of you who don't know, they make it from natural gas. And they power it with natural gas. The carbon footprint for making hydrogen is 20% worse than just burning natural gas to heat.
Yeah.
The only thing this is a handout to the fossil fuel companies to keep them going. Now, I will give the qualification that hydrogen has the potential to be clean all the way through the process. It can be manufactured from water, but that is even more energy intensive than the natural gas system. It can be powered with other than, fossil fuels, but it's not, it's because that system is way too expensive. It's a very energy intensive system. Greenhouse gas emissions are terrible. It's going to burn a ton of natural gas, which is going to be an air pollution addition to the city, and they have to have natural gas pipelines for feedstock. This will be a disaster. We could have stopped graphic packaging when they came in, but we didn't. If we let this in, we're just taking graphic packaging many times over. It's terrible. 30 years from now, 50 years from now, maybe hydrogen fuel will be the right place, but we're not there. And I just really think we need to be aware of this before it's too late.
What do you suggest we do at this point?
I would like everyone to have the time to study it themselves, but I would like us to recommend to the city that we do not accept this in our community because it's not right for us.
And you're saying this is being proposed right now, or has the potential to be proposed?
It's not exactly clear. So there is a company that's been formed. The federal government has given them $7 billion. They've selected the sites, at least the cities. I don't know about the sites within the cities. And it has been broken down to the point that we know there's those 4 cities in Michigan. I don't know if it's gone further than that, but we have a developer, and we have a city, and we have a bunch of federal money. So it's going to happen if someone doesn't prevent it from happening.
It's gonna happen just because the money's out there and somebody can't resist, regardless of the science not being developed well enough. Probably. Yeah, that's probably what's gonna happen.
You know, I think that hydrogen fuel is a perfectly good thing when we're ready for it. But at this point, it's not a NIMBY thing. It's just like,
It's not good anywhere.
Right, it shouldn't be built anywhere, but we can't stop it from being built in Saginaw. We can stop it from being built in Kalamazoo, and I think we should.
Maybe the Kalamazoo County Commission ought to be
They should be
educated
involved
on
as well.
this too.
Yeah,
Okay?
yep, because they're working on a sustainability plan right now.
Mhm.
So, this information just came out like yesterday. So I'm going to share it with some of the county commissioners as well, so that they can incorporate this into their sustainability plan.
Okay.
So, sorry to be the bearer of doom and gloom, but
Well, maybe you
unfortunately,
can
most environmental stories are that way.
maybe you can make some of this information, share some of this information with us, so we can all get
Yeah, that'd be,
Yeah,
informed, and,
I
you know,
can share what I've
maybe
been
You can
finding.
argue with the.
maybe it's
county
not too
commission.
early to start to form some recommendations from this committee to just be proactive.
Yeah. And that's, I think, all we can do is just, and we don't have any power to do anything else other than educate the public and
Right.
make a recommendation to appropriate commissions.
do
So,
we want to have a committee to get a recommendation for the council for next month or something like that?
I will send you a bunch of links to things that I've been looking at so people can have access to that. And then I'll be happy to,
So like maybe by next month, see who wants to join after
right,
reading
I
about
don't know
it?
what the timeline is, but I don't
Okay.
think it's gonna move that fast.
Okay.
I think if we, and I
Around
could,
this
yeah,
month.
I'll send you, a link, and then I'll also send maybe some draft language and if people wanna move on it next time, we can. If people want to form a committee next time, we can do that.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Thank you for bringing that up. Okay, and then we have subcommittee reports, if that's all for that.
So,
Okay, NSC Review Board, Bobby is not here, and water quality, Bobby is not here. Wildlife and Natural Resources Section, Gail,
I don't really have any news
besides the,
besides the tragedy in Chicago, and just, you know, as a heads up, I'll make one statement. I don't know if there's a way we can share it. Halloween is coming up soon, and, some of the scariest Halloween decorations are those fake spider webs, because, birds as well as other animals get tangled up in them, and it's very difficult to extract them without injuring them, and, you know, most of them will perish. So I've been, you know, sending out that information as often as I can when I see it on Facebook and stuff. So, I have a little letter that I copied, on Facebook that you can deliver to a neighbor that says, "Dear neighbor, you know, your decorations are awesome, but blah, blah, blah," you know,
I think about that every time I bike by them.
with pictures, you know, of birds and bats and stuff caught up in that. So just a heads up, it's, you know, if you can see it, you know, and mention it to your neighbors and share it as much as you can
Is that
on
like a
Facebook.
printable letter you have?
Yeah, I
I
do.
would totally be interested.
I'll see if I can-
I've thought about something like that, but
Send it
up to the committee.
Yeah, I'll see if I can, I saved it somewhere in, you know, in my, I've printed it out, but it's saved somewhere, but I will try to find that and then share it.
Thank you.
I think it might have even come from somebody in England or something, but, like, okay, well, it's a great idea, so I'm gonna copy and paste.
Okay, thank you. And then Rachel, Planning Commission, sorry, we keep talking about it a little bit before this every time, but.
No, they didn't really talk about, the rezoning much at all. It was mentioned only briefly and that there would be a hearing in December. The main topic was the Catalyst Development that's doing the arena downtown is asking for Cooley and, like, portions of Cooley and Eleanor to be vacated to make it like one larger site, which would just require like moving plumbing and such.
You know what exists there? I remember seeing that, but
I have to like pull it up.
Well, there's certainly an old vacant building
Yeah.
that sits along the Arcadia Creek that's been there, and then the, part of that block is a parking lot. There's also, has been used for construction equipment and
Material.
building supplies
Yeah.
for quite a long time,
For
for,
the county building.
yeah, county building, and before that, I believe, maybe for the hotel that went into
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
the Masonic Lodge.
parking to one side, buildings to the other.
okay.
That's what it looks like. They own the lot currently, they're just trying to merge it
Okay.
all into one is what it sounds like. It would be the sections like north of Arcadia, I believe, if I
Correct,
was,
that's correct.
and then the planning commission motion to recommend it.
Cool. So many more questions about that, but probably weren't discussed then anyway. Cool, thank you so much. And then tree committee?
I don't have anything to report. You know, we did have a meeting this month, but it was like nothing that really stuck out, just
Okay.
small stuff that doesn't even stick in my head right now.
Did I read or hear that, Mr. Cummings was one of the state select, $1 million grant or something for
Yes.
trees?
Yeah, we went more towards that
How many
last.
million?
Yeah, Jean shared that information with us last time.
Okay, great.
So
How many
the
$1 million for trees?
one, isn't it?
Just 1 million?
I thought it
So,
was 7 or something for the state, anyway.
yeah, well, I don't know
Yeah,
about
we
the
got
state,
that.
but, there was.
112?
There was, but they asked for 9 million.
Okay.
So it was a grant through the U.S. Forestry Service.
Okay.
It was a very, very large grant. It was open, you know, to lots of municipalities, so there was a lot of competition. And so getting what they got, I think, was a pretty good achievement.
Yeah. You, Sound Lake Policy and Management Council, that's me. Wow, we talked a little bit about the, impending potential rezoning, that's proposed, and I'm blanking on anything else significant at this time.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know if you were there. Okay, yeah, I don't think there was anything really significant there besides, lots of different discussions.
Sharon, one question for you. Do you know how the stormwater treatment construction is coming along?
It's coming along and, yeah, it's going well. Definitely, they don't want people like walking around there. That could potentially mess it up. That was mentioned a few times too. Hopefully they'll have some signage up. I know there was discussion of signage and stuff to try to make it more clear what's going on for the public, without people walking back there and messing it up.
There's a tape, we were there this morning.
Okay.
There's danger, do not, as you come off Drake Road toward the project.
Now, this is all, excuse me, this is all, fill me in, this is all for the management of runoff from 131 and Stadium down into the lake.
Yep.
Okay.
From Drake.
Drake Road.
Maybe the engineers could say, to do this properly, they need the property that we're trying to not have a car wash on, and they could take it by eminent domain.
Ooh, I like that. All right,
Is that a
go
thought?
Jim.
I mean, it sounds crazy. I don't know exactly what track they're gonna use, but maybe they could just say that and, well, is it possible? I'm trying to find a way around this
I know.
impasse.
Trying to find all the ways. I think that whoever occupies that tract of land is gonna have to do something with the runoff from Stadium. They're gonna have to find a way to do something with the runoff from stadium. Stadium will be dug up
Yeah.
once that property is being developed.
If that property
If that property.
is developed.
Well, I
that
mean,
property is
if we could say for the whole project, gee, we really need this tract of land to do this right, and then just take it by eminent domain.
If the city could make the argument that they needed it, they would win in court.
Yeah, that's the point. So I'm saying it's your only legal way to get it now. That's a guess, just
I'd
a
love for
suggestion.
the city to have that.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, why not?
Get a lawyer.
Well, let's just ask the engineers.
We'll keep it in mind, believe me.
Yeah, several years thing, but yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely keep following different social media things. Lots of people are talking about all sorts of different solutions and trying to figure out what, how the community can come together for what the community wants to see there, but,
And it's hoped that some of that will happen this Saturday. Different parts of the community who are coming to this event. Going to be a segment of it that's going to get input and brainstorm and get the subcommittee, different aspects have to happen. If somehow the property would be owned by its present owner, but that's, of course, not way in the future, but it's something that's going to take a lot of work from the community. So that will be discussed at the Disciples of Christ Church on
Saturday. And that is 1 to 4:30, right? Wrote down, okay, great. And then Parks and Rec, I don't believe I got anything from Rob on that. How about water?
Nothing there.
Okay. And do we want to set up the next wellhead protection program? Is that like 2 months, or is that quarterly seems fast? We just did it like a month or two ago, right?
Whenever you want.
Okay.
We did it in August.
August?
Yeah.
So, would that be already next month? Next month, we were also planning to have, I believe Justin come back to talk about the sustainability plan updates. So let's just figure out, maybe not do both of those on the same time. And I think his was supposed to be technically December, so maybe we can move you to December or something. Okay. Sounds good. Thank you for being flexible. Voter task force,
No meetings.
new there. Okay, community sustainability plan, as we just mentioned. And then waste, I have a couple little updates, from Chris for the numbers that we've been getting. And if there's any waste statistics that you would think would be, helpful for the community and that we can go over, monthly, he said to just let him know and he can see what they can do about that. Let's see here. Oh, he had some other notes too, so,
Do you want those up?
yeah, if you have that, that'd be great. I'll read the email part for now. So, next week, the solid waste team is headed to the Michigan Sustainability Conference in Gaylord. Sweet. Leaf collection is set to begin Monday, November 6th. Oh, definitely look at your map for when that is, and please do not put your leaves, in the bike lanes or, or out way too early or in the street. There are all sorts of different maps for where to put that so that you're not endangering people's lives ideally. Or you can leave the leaves, but that's,
Yeah, even better.
you know, my preferred method.
Could I mention something about that?
Yeah.
I've put up with this leaf collection thing for years now in this city, and I know they work really hard at it and all that. And sometimes they will come down the street and move it from the parkway into the street just before the truck comes and picks them up. That's wonderful, because that keeps people from putting them out in the street early, you know, where they should. And then other times, you have to rake them into the street yourself and kind of be there, or they do kind of a half-baked job, getting them out there and cleaning them off. I mean, really half. So maybe if that could be a regular part of the, even though it takes maybe extra manpower or something like that, extra manpower, that could be part of the, automatic part of the cleanup, having, right when the trucks are gonna come pick it up, some workers there just blowing them into the street or having some device to move them into the street. I think it would stop a lot, if people knew about it, people would stop raking them into the street too early.
They do use a large commercial blower.
Yeah, I know.
That, to push them off the lawn.
Right, but trouble is, it's hit and miss. You know, some of the times they go down and get the whole thing, and other times,
Well, I see what you're saying, they don't clean it very well.
either very well, or they just go by and leave one side of the street undone. So it's kind of hit and miss, and if people could be not guaranteed, but pretty darn sure that they don't have to move it all the way into the street on that day or the night before. It's just a thought, you know, it seemed like it kind of people are always worried that, their leaves aren't gonna get picked up, so they rake them into the street. And I know that's it's clear as a bell what you're supposed to do, but.
People are just like, I don't want the leaf in my yard, it's gotta go now.
Well, that's part of the problem. But the other part is people really don't trust it because it hasn't been regular enough to be trusted, you know, the service. So, you know, just a thought, I don't know.
Pretty sure I've seen some things about it being increased difficulty if people aren't doing it right as well, so it seems like it's like just a circle of,
That's right.
nothing
That's
going
right.
well. So, we had mentioned a while ago too, when Emily was on UCC, she was putting together some things, for alternatives, and I believe she showed some examples of like what Ann Arbor does with, weekly compost pickup, and then also they did some education on how to like mulch your leaves on site, so you don't even need it. So it's like all these different steps of possibilities before leaf collection, which would lighten up the need, I would think, for how much is needed to be collected. But, yeah, and then, I did see that paper shredding was added to the pickup on the 28th. That was mentioned in this too. So, electronic recycling, expanded polystyrene, and also paper shredding, all happening at the drop-off, thing on the Mayor's Riverfront Park, 10 to 1, October 28th for this month, for this quarter. So, all sorts of good things happening there. And then we have, so that's the leaf collection one, and then the other stats, Chris has been putting together is the different kinds of, the weight in tons of recycling brush, bulk trash, and, cart requests. So to compare the months, you can see that up there. So, we went down a little bit in recycling, up in brush, and then the bulk is quarterly too, so that she put those numbers in there. It looks like we had a lot more misses. I believe that's the truck missing, or what is that? Or people missed putting it out on the curb, do you remember? I don't remember which one that is. But cart requests, still, higher than July, but less than August, at 67 new carts requested, which anyone can call 311 and get that if you are a city resident in a single-family home at least. Recycling with apartment complexes usually goes through them and is another thing to tackle, but yeah, that's those numbers, and I think that's all I had. So let's check the phone lines for any more community comments.
Before we do that,
Oh,
I
yeah?
just wanted to mention that when Chris was here, I don't know, it was last week, it might have been August, he was reporting about the recycling rate for curbside recycling, and that their Republic is taking that to a MRF in northern Indiana, and their reported recycling rate is about 90%. And today I was visiting Kent County's MRF, and I asked them specifically what their recovery rate was. It was 90%. So that seems to be, and the 10% that's not recyclable kind of falls under the category of wish recycling.
Yeah, wish recycling.
Household wires, extension cords, coat hangers,
Wood.
car bumpers, I mean, not a whole bumper, but things that aren't recyclable, and that gets separated, plastic bags, that gets separated out on the line. But then they, depending on the market where they sell it, they're allowed up to a 30% contamination
Oh, that's,
in
that's
their-
an interesting
in
number to
their-
hear,
in
because they
their
wouldn't tell me that when I asked.
in their bundles. And that,
Okay.
and that depends on the specific buyer for that. And, you know, so each MRF has their goals, and then they have to hunt for vendors that can use what they can produce. But I thought, well, that's good to know, 90% sounds about in the ballpark, so Kent County.
Cool. And they can do a couple extra things up there. They can do, the cardboard, the like, plant milk, whatever. Containers, yeah, thank you. But yeah.
Yeah, I wish we could still do that here. I miss that.
The
Really
lime liquid
complicated.
cardboard.
Yeah, the liquid too.
And they're doing the, what are they called, the aseptic, you know, cartons where you get soy milk.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
it is.
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it is.
They're able to do that just because the process that they have, they're selling their recyclables to someone that can use that.
Yeah, because those are a lot more complicated to process.
It is much more complicated.
Okay, we were checking the phone lines to see if anyone is calling for public comment. Right now, it doesn't seem like it. Okay, so no callers for public comment. Any last comments in here? I feel like I need to add that in here to make sure, anyone here gets their last comment. And if that is all, we can adjourn.
Okay.